I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board. It's Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. And the first item for business is any public input for items that are not on our agenda. If you're in the room, if you could please come to the podium, or if you're on Zoom or Teams, if you could raise your hand. I'm not seeing Teams anywhere. Okay. Yeah.
GSD, are there any virtual attendees? We can't really tell.
I don't see.
There they are.
Okay. Seeing none, apparently. We'll have to skip approval of the minutes because we don't have quite a quorum yet. And let's see. So let's move on to the stormwater expenditure reports for December 2023 and January, February, and March of 2024.
Okay, for December, we did buy pipes. It was $15,947.10. We really didn't have anything. The, traffic? What are they called? Okay, we did spend $2,408.24 on that. And no, we spent $4,200. Sorry, my first time. $4,205, and that was on backfill. We spent $2,408. And almost $3,000 on oil, on gas. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
No, but it seemed like there was, in certain categories, there was a lot of unexpended monies, funds. So it seemed, as of December, the end of December, it seemed like there were a good bit of unexpended funds in certain categories. So that just carried over, or I don't remember what we normally do here.
That may be a good question for Lisa, but Lisa, do you want to talk about what happens to the money if we don't spend it by the end of the year?
So it's an appropriation, so it's just what we anticipate to spend. If we don't spend it, it just zeroes out and the money stays in the cash. And then we just start using our new budget for 2024 at that point.
But it stays as funds that stormwater can use in the future, is that right?
Yeah, it stays into their cash account, and then whatever we reappropriate. We just don't, we used to do encumbrances. We don't do encumbrances anymore. So we don't lose the money, and then we can just reappropriate it in the next year's budget.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Are we down January? Okay. Let's see. For gas, we spent $2,000, and on call for the traffic, we spent $36.90. Insurance, we had to transfer money from out of the Stip Road, Morse Creek, because we didn't budget enough. So we transferred $17,000 out of that into the insurance so that we could cover our $59,935 for insurance. And let's see. And that's basically everything else. We just spent a little bit. And do you have any questions on any of the? Okay. For February, what was the equipment for February? We did spend $5,518 on the gas, and Stip Road, we spent $14,585.36.
Yeah.
What was that?
Are you asking about the sampling equipment?
No, the equipment, we purchased a utility trailer. And that's why we have $5,050 on that.
Yeah, so the utility trailer was purchased. We'll be purchasing a straw blower for the crew and the trailer to go with it. So you'll see that equipment purchase. It was something that we considered last year because we had been renting it so much. But we discussed this with Lisa and Toby and Highway Department and decided that it would be a good purchase for us to have to be able to not have to worry about renting one, and we can share it with Highway and it'll be a good asset for us.
Sounds good.
You covered that in March. But yeah, March
in March we
for
actually
this.
bought it? Okay.
Yeah, that was a utility trailer. In March, we purchased a straw blower and trailer, and that was $11,700. And they purchased, what is that? I wrote it down. 350 bales of straw, so that was $23.99. Let's see. This was all fees. Oh, and for the Stip Road, we paid for the clearing and cleanup of the trees, and that was for all that, $111,574. And we spent $5,366 for gas.
Yep.
And that's about.
So did all the trees get cleared on Stip Road in Morris Creek?
Yes, the tree clearing has been completed, so yep. I can give you more detail on that in my staff report.
Okay.
Any questions
that-
on expenditures? Yep, that's for 4 months of expenditures.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And our next, we'll move on, well, let me see. I think we'll move on to staff reports
Okay.
until Tron gets here.
Yeah, I don't know who was just speaking, but if there's something related to a specific project or item, maybe we can have that person try and speak again at that point.
It was off topic.
Okay, okay. So, okay, so we have a couple things that don't
I'm
require.
here.
Oh,
By
sorry.
the way, I'm here, so I don't know if we can proceed with the usual agenda.
We'll be moving some things around, Julie, because Tron will be
Okay.
here any minute.
Okay.
So I will start
you.
some staff reports in the meantime until he gets here so that we can start our regular business. Let's see. I can talk about a number of things, but I'm wondering if Martha, if you would like to do your staff report now while we're waiting on our quorum, would that be okay?
Yeah.
I hear your request. Tell me what you want.
Leah's saying, yeah. Okay.
You want me to go ahead and give a report?
I think Lee said yes.
Yes, I did. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yep, okay, cool. Well, hi again. I promise to not repeat the same thing that I repeated this morning. How's that? So what I'm actually going to talk to you guys about here a little bit is the allocated funds from 2023 because of a couple of folks who backed out on contracts and things. We have about 5,000 going into this year that we did not anticipate. I just found that out yesterday. So we have a little bit of money that we didn't think we would be carrying over. So I don't know how you guys need to act on that or whatever, but it's right about $5,000.
Okay.
So there's that. We also purchased a no-till drill. The district has not had a new drill for over 30 years. And we applied for a Clean Water Indiana grant and got $22,000 to go toward the $35,000 cost. We upgraded to an 8-foot from a 6-foot, added 3 boxes on the back, which means it can plant any kind of seed that's necessary, which was an issue that we kind of had with our older drill. and got a few other upgrades that will make it easier when we rent it out to folks. It's been rented out once. We worked with Van Horn and custom designed wraps for the side of the drill so that it identifies what it is, why it's there, and the soil health message and how to rent it and that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. We're pretty excited about it. Bean Blossom Watershed Project is live and active. We've had our first steering committee meeting. Our next one will be in Brown County as they're the headwaters of that particular watershed. I have brochures here that I will leave you all. The first phase will be the consultant that we've hired to do the planning of the actual writing of the plan is starting down the path of gathering the data and that sort of thing from all the partners and the various aspects. And we'll be doing a windshield survey that was divvied up amongst the folks on the steering committee, anyone who wanted to take a section of it. Most didn't, so that'll be my responsibility to get done. So if anybody wants to go drive around the Bean Blossom Watershed, we've got a date set toward the end of the month. We'll take you for all that. I will mention we are doing the rain barrel sales. Again, I will mention that because that's something we've not been able to do for several years, and we have the capacity now. So we're doing that this month. And the free soil testing with the Lake Monroe Water Fund and Community Foundation. Hey! So those are the big things that we have going on right now. We also, it's kind of become an annual thing now to give away trees for the county employees. And this year we ordered more trees. So we have 200 persimmon trees that'll go out in pairs, and we have pecans and walnuts that'll go out in pair bundles. We have about 50 left of the walnut and pecan. The persimmon were all spoke for. So if anybody wants those still, reach out to me. You don't have to be a county employee, but that's where our first priority lies, is with county employees to give them away. Activities starting to pick up. We're getting requests for soil testing and lots of interesting mini grant questions. Some that you shake your head at and go, really? And others you're like, oh, that's a big problem. So that's exciting to see that coming about. I think that's it, really, pretty much.
Thank you.
Martha, I have a picture, an image up.
Oh, yeah.
You can't see it. Did you want to explain
So
that?
can you guys see
Yeah.
that picture that she just pulled up?
Yes.
I wanted you guys to see this just because this is what we do. And this was a perfect visual. This was, what was it, last week or the week before that we had that horrific storm? And it just was like nutsy amounts of water. And I had a young farmer send me this picture captioned, cover crop versus no cover crop. Thought you'd like this picture. He's test piloting cover crop. And I think he's convinced that it'll work. He's gonna decide after his yields are taken out. But that is a classic example of why we need cover crop on every field, everywhere, at a minimum. So it's just a neat picture to share.
Great.
Did the map open?
I can pull up the map as well, yes. It's up.
Okay, so this is another project we're working on. Our SPIA fellows helping us with this. These are conservation on-the-ground projects that have been installed through Monroe County Soil and Water over the last about probably 5 or 6 years. Maybe a little longer than that. There's 55 on here right now. She's got a lot more to go. She's going to go all the way back to our 319 Bean Blossom where we had some of those. But it's when we get it done, you'll be able to actually just kind of tell countywide where things are happening that we're doing or involved with. So that's something I think we've not been able to show real well. And so we decided we'd backtrack a little bit on that one. So that's it, unless anybody's got questions.
Yeah, I have a couple, if that's okay.
Sure.
So this morning, you also presented materials to the commissioners about the rain barrels, and they were all up on small stands. Does the $80 cover the small stand or just the rain barrel?
I wish it did. No, but you can put them up on blocks or anything. Everybody prefers to do them differently. And if you've got a a whole system, like a lady just bought 3, and so she'll have staggering from higher to lower. Yeah. The stands are just to show that you need to get them up somehow to make the gravitational flow. So.
But cinder blocks were just.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Cinder blocks, logs, landscape, anything. Yeah. Old chairs. I've seen people stack them on patio tables, you know, that you'd set outside and they stack them on those. And oh, yeah.
So how much if they're completely full, the 80 gallons must weigh?
A lot.
Over 600,
I wish I could tell
over
you,
600 pounds. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I was like, I don't have a clue.
So
yeah.
Would you, if there's somebody listening today that wasn't listening to the commissioners' meeting this morning, would you tell them how they can have that soil testing done for free?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And for anybody that is here that wants tests, if you're a resident of Monroe, Brown, or Jackson County, do you want to speak to it? Michelle's here. I'll let her talk too. We have a partnership with Lake Monroe Water Fund and the Community Foundation. And so you can get a free soil test for any resident. And I'll let you share whatever you want to about it.
So hello, I'm Michelle Cohen with the Lake Monroe Water Fund. And the program we're partnering with Martha and the Soil and Water Conservation District on is for, as she said, any resident of Monroe, Brown, or Jackson County to receive 1 free soil test. The program runs through July. And so it's an opportunity for people to see what nutrients they already have in their soil so they don't over-apply fertilizer. And we're pretty excited about it. We've got, I want to say, we have enough funding for over 500, and we're under 100 now. So there's plenty of space left for folks to take advantage of it.
I thought it was very interesting this morning when you were talking about the fact that one of the outcomes can be that people would find out that they wouldn't need as much fertilizer as they had been applying. And
Right.
This is both important in terms of what may or may not run off and cost to people.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was really what initiated the conversation, was how do we get people to stop using so much? And the misnomer in all realms, lawn realms, ag realms, all of that, we'll just throw some 12-12-12 on it, it'll be all right. Why? Why spend that money if you don't need to? Why not, in this case, get a free test? At best, it would cost you $25-35. Check it out. You only need to do it every 3 years. And you might be surprised you don't need lime or potash or whatever the thing might be. Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, yeah. I just can't encourage people enough, especially with the free opportunity. So.
Well, and it must also allow people to pinpoint exactly what fertilizer they may need, rather than just a general huge dump.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing about soil testing that I could talk about soil all day long because it fascinates me, but if you're gonna think about it from a lawn perspective, and you want a pristine, manicured yard, there's still ways to do that naturally, and you don't have to use fertilizers or chemicals to do it. You know, if you're growing vegetables and you're gonna eat it, I still have a hard time wrapping my head around the idea of squirting chemicals on it to make it grow bigger, when all you gotta do is just look at your options. And that's what a soil test does. And our resource specialist breaks down the analysis. She'll help you walk through anything that you got questions on. We've got other people from the state that'll help too. But yeah, soil health is becoming a big issue. I'm excited to see it be a big issue.
It has. Are there any more questions?
This is new to me, so
Yeah.
I'll need to get used to it. Not really a question. I'm guessing that we're on staff report, or as far as
We've jumped around
a little
to
bit.
avoid
Sorry for my
things that needed to be
voted
on.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my tardiness. Just got back from Vincent's from a user group, so the rain delayed us a bit to drive safe. I attended the Indiana Lakes Management Society just recently, and actually ran into maybe one of the newest board of directors for the water fund. I think he's with the Nature Conservancy. I think he would be a great addition. So I encouraged him to join. Also, I just wanted to say they made a lot of comments and brought a lot of attention to different farming practices. And one of the things that they saw that was most successful was these more educational, like demonstrations and providing offsetting funds to the farmers to try these different practices, which is what we do with our mini grants with the SWCD. And Martha has been an amazing educator for me throughout the years of these mini grants opportunities. And I just wanted to, I guess, bring that up. I don't really have a question there.
Thank you, Tron. I appreciate that. Did you see the picture? Did you get to see the picture? Yeah. That's what it's all about, and getting people to understand using that no-till drill to put those cover crops on is huge. And also take care of pastures. We get kind of fixated with row crop or cropping, and we forget that healthy pastures are just as important, because if you let those wear down and wear out and overgraze, then you still have the same kind of situation. You still get the erosion and the muddy mess and the whole bit. So yeah, you did remind me though, we actually just confirmed it with Maggie. So we're partnering with the Friends of Lake Monroe on a soil health field day at the airport here on May 14th. It literally is just hot off the presses about 2 hours ago. The tenant farmer who actually farms that land and has brought it back to a healthy production rate is actually going to be our speaker. And he's going to talk about why he chose to invest the money that he did in Monroe County when he doesn't live here, to invest in our soils to make them healthy. And so he's going to talk about his passion from that perspective. So, yeah.
Will you send out invitations for that?
Yes, it will be very limited because of the space at the airport, but we wanted to keep it small intentionally. So yeah. Though we'll have room for about 20 people or whatever. And then we've got a little bit of padding in case, any of you folks want to attend. We're going to make sure you can get there. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any further questions for Ms. Miller?
I would like to talk to the board about
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Kelsey.
I would like to talk to the board about the additional $5,000 from 2023. I believe in our MOU, if the funds aren't allocated by the end of the year, they will be returned to the Stormwater Board.
Returned, or the board can allow us to keep it.
Yeah, we need to discuss what to do with that $5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Thank you. And now maybe we'll go back to the beginning. And do I have a motion for approval of the minutes for December 2023?
I move approval of the minutes for December 2023.
I'll second.
Are there any corrections or changes?
One of the things I wanted to encourage Ms. Kelsey or her staff to do is, we've seen this with the Waste Reduction District, that they're doing slightly more summary minutes. They're not having to do things verbatim, and it makes it both easier for you to do the minutes, and it's easier to read, I think, as well.
I think so.
And so if you could take a little stress off of yourself or your staff, please do.
Yeah.
Ms. Donna with the Surveyor's Office compiles our minutes. So Tron, we can have that discussion.
She's here, she's listening, so I think if we're allowed to do that, absolutely. I know we'll make sure, we'll check in with Mr. Schilling to make sure that that's a acceptable way to do the minutes. I know that the Plan Commission has to do them verbatim, so as long as there's not that compliance, then absolutely. I think you would see, she's even came off camera because she's like, Tron, stop talking, you can save me time. So, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I have in the past done verbatim minutes, and it's a lot of work. All right. Then Is there
You need a
no-
roll call vote
Yeah,
since Julie's virtual.
and yeah, yeah. And, yeah, Kelsey, if you could do a roll call vote for the minutes for December 23.
Okay. Did we have a motion in a second? Did I miss
Yeah.
that?
I second, and I think
Okay.
Ms. Githens.
Yeah.
motion.
Thank you,
made the
just want to
motion.
make sure. Okay, Tron Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Julie Thomas,
Yes,
Lee Jones,
Lee.
Oh,
Lee?
I'm sorry, I'm having a very hard time hearing you. And it said, wait now, there, rather than Lee Jones. Yes.
Penny.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And we've already done the expenditure reports. So we'll move on to an MOU with the Monroe County Soil and Water Conservation District. Do I have a motion for that?
I move that we accept the memorandum of understanding between the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board and the Monroe County Soil and Water Conservation District.
I second.
Thank you.
Maybe before it seems like we've already been,
I don't think we really discussed
haven't
an
discussed this.
MOU.
oh, we haven't?
No.
Well,
And we need to vote on that.
and that, I guess, was what my question was. Is this where we should address that remainder of the 5,000?
So this is the 2024 MOU. I think it would definitely be a separate discussion for the 2023 funds.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify. Thank
Just
you.
not sure when you want to do that. Yeah. So,
Ms. Miller?
Yeah, sorry, I was sitting there thinking about it. I think, I have to look at the MOU, but I think the MOU said that we can hold that for 2 years. That's something we would just need to look at that MOU again. As Kelsey and I have both tried to find time in our schedule to look at it, it's been a little bit hard for both of us, but yeah, whatever y'all want to do with it. I mean, I just want to make sure that I made it clear, because at one point we thought we had it all allocated and we don't, so
yeah.
Thank you.
we'll spend it.
Yeah, okay. I think it was, my interpretation is that the funds are allocated within that year, but they have 2 years to complete their projects.
yeah.
I can pull up the 2023 MOU if you'd like.
Yeah. And that's not a part of the 2024 MOU anyway. So,
But we could amend it, right? Because
That's
these
where
are,
my thought
yes.
was.
these again are for the grants
it is,
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so the amendment would be to add the additional money into, yeah. So let's see what we find out.
I don't see anything in this MOU that indicates that it can be held for a second year. Just that people can have up to 2 years to spend it, which is different than accepting the grant, I think, or,
We're obligating.
yeah, signing on the dotted line for the grant.
The language remains very similar between 2023 and 24. I just rearranged some parts of the MOU for 2024. If unused funds exist, the Monroe County SWCD will work with the Stormwater Management Board and MS4 staff to determine if funds should be returned or if the requested funding amount needs to be reduced for the next fiscal year.
Thank you. So would anyone like to offer an amendment?
I move that we add the unused $5,000 from 2023 as into this MOU, again, to be used for these grants.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
I just, if I might, I just want to verify that is the amount, because I heard about or kind of or whatever. I just wanted to make sure we have the right amount.
Please.
And yes.
Would you
Ms.
verify at the
Miller
podium?
has-
Yes, it's $5,000. It was going to be that it's $5,000 that was originally allocated, and the projects were pulled off. The landowners decided not to complete them. So it's no longer allocatable. So it's $5,000 that we have hanging out there going, hey, what do you want us to do with you? Yes, 5,000.
Are there any further questions or comments about the amendment?
So the final amount for the 2024 MOU, you're proposing to increase to $40,000 so that the leftover 2023 funds will fall under this new MOU. And we'll have to follow these rules.
I think that we should note that they'll provide 35,000 fiscal year 2024 and include include 5,000 from fiscal year 2023, so that there's no confusion as to what was allocated for 2024. But that's just me.
But I support that fully, because then we will make sure that we move it back to the 35 in 2025. So,
Right.
Well, it also creates a record that shows us what wasn't used
right.
as an official record. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any further comments, questions about the amendment? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote on amending the MOU with Monroe County and Soil Water Conservation District to include the $5,000 that were unused last year.
Okay, you need a roll call vote? Okay.
Yeah.
Penny,
That's it.
Yes.
Lee,
Yes,
Julie,
Yes.
Tron,
Yes.
thank you all. And thank you,
And
Martha.
the amendment carries. Are there any further questions or comments about the MOU? And seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote for the MOU with Monroe County Soil and Water Conservation District.
Okay, another vote. All right, Tron,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes,
Julie,
Yes.
and Penny.
Yes.
all right. Motion
Thank you.
carries. And our next item of business is the MOU with Lake Monroe Water Fund.
I move that we pass this memorandum of understanding between the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board and the Lake Monroe Water Fund.
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
Is there anyone that's-
I can provide some background on this if you'd like. So this MOU is something that we've passed previously. It'll be from year to year. It's just been a while since you've seen this because our 2023 MOU was approved at the end of 2022. And so the 2024 MOU is early 2024. So it's just been a little bit since we've seen this. So this funding is going towards water monitoring programming run by the Lake Monroe Water Fund. The history on this is that the Stormwater Board, during the creation of the Lake Monroe Watershed Management Plan, was helping to pay for a stream gauge at Kurtz, which is outside of Monroe County, but capturing drainage going into Lake Monroe. The Lake Monroe Water Fund has taken over that contract, and so this funding can go towards helping pay for that stream gauge, but we left the MOU open to just general water quality monitoring efforts. So,
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Just one, and I think it's notable to mention that, after doing our watershed study, 50% of our watershed is in Brown County. And there's also other percentages in other counties. It touches 5 counties, a very small amount, Johnson County. But I think if we really want to protect that area, we're going to have to figure out how to offset some of the costs. And I think this is a good way to just demonstrate that moving forward. And I'm in complete support of it.
Thank you.
Can I say something else?
Yeah.
As commissioners, we're often criticized, saying that we only take care of or represent people in the non-urbanized area of Monroe County. And I want people to understand that the majority of people that get their water from Lake Monroe live inside the city of Bloomington. So we are taking care of a lot of the non-rural residents with this kind of
Yes.
move.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I appreciate what you said about that we draw from so many other counties too.
Yeah, I mean, that educational outreach that we've been conducting, or I shouldn't say we, that the people in this room have been conducting is very significant. And if you talk to a lot of folks, you know, they probably generally think that there are water drains in Lake Monroe, which isn't the case either. But yeah, with our efforts of trying to protect the lake, the watershed is only going to really help the water resource that we have in Monroe County and for the city. So sorry, you touched on something I'm very adamant about. So I affirm everything Commissioner Githens just said. And I know we all share that as well here, so
Yeah.
I hope I could speak for all of us.
All right. Are there any further questions or comments? Commissioner Thomas? Okay. Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, could we please have a roll call vote on the MOU with Lake Monroe Water Fund?
Tron,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Penny,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes,
thank you.
motion carried.
And thank you,
our-
Michelle, for being here.
Our next order of business is an agreement with Shrewsbury for Baby Creek LOMR and 401/404 permitting. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the agreement with Shrewsbury for Baby Creek LOMR and 401/404 permitting.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do you have a presentation about that?
Yes, I can talk a bit about this. So this will be an amendment or on an existing contract with Shrewsbury for design of 2 of the Baby Creek low water crossings. So this has been a project that has been in design for many years, as you can, and it's complicated because to replace a low water crossing with a bridge, actual structure, you're going to have an impact on water flow within the floodplain of that stream. So the design of these structures did include significant modeling to show how much water would be backed up from these structures and the approaches. And we acquired flood easements from the property owners for any new area that would be inundated. That's all been completed. Shrewsbury has those models. But after receiving feedback from the planning department, we thought it would be prudent to go ahead and formalize this through the proper procedures with DNR. Previously, they had told Terry, my predecessor, that it wasn't required, just notify them when we start. But this would document those changes in the delineation of the floodplain in this area. So you'll see in the explanation, there's going to be a period where we need to talk to DNR about what they even require, if this is even going to be required. And that requires a little bit of modeling to start with. So this could be a smaller contract. We may not spend all the money, but we're budgeting for worst case scenario so that if DNR decides to, what they want from us, then we will have this contract ready to complete everything that they would need. The total amount is $57,840. That also includes $4,300 of the other water permits, and that would be subcontracted out with Little River Consulting, who did the previous permits. This is to do with the change in the structures themselves. So previously we had aluminum box culverts, we're changing them to concrete box structures, and so the permitting with the state needs to be redone. We are on our third wetlands project manager with the state, and so I had previously talked to the 2 project managers ago about this, and it was going to be pretty straightforward. The last person I talked to, who is no longer at IDEM, wanted us to do the permitting a different way. I'm going to just contract the permitting out because it's gotten complicated, so I want to make sure the state gets what they need and we are in compliance. So that's $4,300 will go towards resubmitting the permits for these 2 low water crossings.
Thank you. Would you like to remind us what LOMR is?
Yes, it's a letter of map revision, and we have Tammy from planning here, our floodplain administrator, who is very knowledgeable about these processes, learning a lot. And so basically, we'd be revising officially the flood maps for this area.
Thank you.
And Ms. Behrman is our flood person.
Yes, our flood expert.
Yes, floodplain expert.
Yes.
Within the planning department.
And are there any questions or comments about this?
We didn't specify the amount.
No, we
I'm
didn't.
sorry, that was my,
I just
No, sorry, I
realized
should have
we
included
didn't
that.
actually know it. I think.
well,
I'll
it's in
offer a
here,
friendly amendment that we include the total amount
but- well,
at
I can just
$57,840.
revise my motion. Then we
Okay,
don't have to-
I'll still second.
I wish to revise my motion to include the fact that this will be a not to exceed price of $57,840.
My second stands.
Thank you. And is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote on the agreement with Shrewsbury for Baby Creek LOMR and 401/404 permitting.
Penny,
Yes?
Lee,
Yes?
Julie,
Yes.
Tron?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Motion carried. And our next order of business is a request for on-call professional services agreement with Hydrogeology Incorporated.
So this, I don't have an agreement prepared yet, nothing to vote on, but I figured while we have a meeting and everyone here, I would like to bring forward to you an idea I've had for a new on-call contract. So sometimes I have some tricky sinkhole situations, as you can imagine in Monroe County, where sometimes I don't have a good solution and I need a little extra help. So Jason Crothy is a local hydrogeologist who is very knowledgeable about karst in Monroe County. And I've casually asked him a couple of questions about certain situations, but I want to be able to respect his time. And if I'm going to formally request his advice on certain sinkhole issues, I would like to pay him for his time. So he said he'd be welcome to having an agreement with us. This isn't something I plan to use very frequently. Like I said, most of the time I can figure things out, and but there are times when, say, we have a sinkhole next to a sidewalk. That's a public safety issue that we can't find a solution for. I really want to have someone I can call to expedite the process when you're finding a solution, so that we don't have a safety hazard in our right-of-way. I can draft a professional services agreement with him, have legal review it, and then move forward. But I wanted to get your opinion on this.
So that we don't need to take any action on this.
I don't have a contract yet, no.
Are there any questions or comments?
This would give us a total of how many on-call services? Would this be a third to our?
Highway and stormwater have a lot of on-call contracts.
Well,
I would have to
know
look
there's
into it.
Christopher Burke, then there's another group which eludes me.
I have one with HNTB.
Yeah,
is
that's.
a recent one.
I'm just now familiarizing myself with HNTB, and I was able to sit down and talk a little bit with one of the consultants just recently. My question is this the same Jason that kind of provided us some feedback at the Drainage Board about the stability of our sinkholes and conservancy areas?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Seems like a fantastic idea to have potentially 3 different firms on retainer, because you never know when they get inundated with work.
Yeah.
I think from a legal perspective, it's also nice to have a professionally licensed geologist on call.
Definitely.
I think this is a really good idea. It's something we don't have. There aren't many people who understand sinkholes in the state, let alone the country. So I think it would be great. So get a hourly amount and a not to exceed. And I'd really like to see this on our agenda.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
And if there's no further comment or state questions, then we'll come to staff reports. And we've already heard from Ms. Miller, so Ms. Sitonia.
Okay. I have a number of items I need to get you caught up on. I will try to be brief. I'll start with the ones that I've listed here, and I have others that didn't make it onto the agenda. So the first item is hydraulic modeling for Bean Blossom Creek. This was a contract with, it's a task order under on-call services contract with HNTB that was approved last year to perform modeling in 2 areas along Bean Blossom Creek where we've had issues with the creek undermining or eroding up to our roadway. So we spent quite a bit of money last year on stone to fix some of these shoulder stabilization issues. I've received a preliminary presentation from them on their modeling and some of their ideas for stabilizing areas, some of the areas that still need some work, and I'm hoping that this information will help save us some money when we go to implement new measures. It looks promising. So I'm hoping to receive that report from them soon. And so we'll be seeing some invoices being paid off that contract. Next one is South Rogers Street culvert replacement. We had a small contract with Smith Design Group at the end of last year to design a culvert replacement and manhole for an existing highway culvert under South Rogers Street, just down south of the intersection of Rogers Street and that road. This will be a new culvert that the Blind Squirrels Development, or CI in Clear Creek, will be discharging to as part of their project. We determined that our existing culvert was insufficient, so we are basically finished up design on that. Just last coordination of utilities with CBU. They have a water main right there, so we're wrapping that project up, and hopefully we'll be able to implement that soon. Stip Road and Morris Creek Road project update. So before the bat window closed at the end of March, we were able to have all of the trees removed in our construction limits on Morris Creek Road. We also removed trees on the north side of Stip Road to help with utility relocation. And so that was completed by Bluestone, and they've been paid for that, and they went through and stabilized the area. And last I saw it, looked okay. Right now, we are waiting. I have the final bid documents for Morris Creek Road, and those will be moving out shortly. And waiting on Duke to finish up some of their planning for relocation work. So, hope to see some movement on this project in the coming months. I also added in Marlin Hills Drainage Improvements Project. This is not a stormwater board project, but it was funded through ARPA. Just wanted to let you know that we will be, we've redesigned and will be replacing storm sewers in the Marlin Hills neighborhood, paid for through ARPA. And Lisa can maybe explain more about that timeline, but we will be implementing that in pretty soon.
So it's been awarded, and actually, I believe it was Milestone, if I remember right. We've had a lot of awards. And they have it on schedule as around a June on their schedule for the summer.
Thank you, Lisa. I think it was E&B who got Marlin Hills. Yeah.
I could not remember. I had milestone on my mind today because I just did a conference. So yeah, okay.
Thank you. I have another update. We did receive the LAIR grant we applied for logjam removal on Brummets Creek. We had requested $25,750 and we were awarded $25,000. So I'm going to be working on how to make up the extra funding for that $750 that wasn't funded. Working through that right now, but we do have the grant agreement from the state. I will be taking that to a commissioners meeting within the next week or two so that we can get our grant funding.
And you said Brummets Creek, correct?
Brummets
Okay.
Creek, correct.
I'm just
I'm
following
moving on to
along.
things I didn't list under my staff report. I have a whole other list that I'm going off now. We also had a contract with Ecologic for vegetation removal and herbicide application at a couple locations. One of them is a highway garage. That work is not planned yet. The other location was within the gated area at the Fieldstone Dam. So we're the only people with keys to that gated area, and so we worked with the HOA. We agreed that the county will do vegetation removal within that gated area only. The HOA is responsible for everything else. So we actually were out yesterday, and Ecologic, they removed all the woody vegetation from that area, did a very, very good job. Stump treatment for anything that was cut. I was there the whole time with them, and so that is a big relief for me to get woody veg off that dam and not be responsible for that. And I will update you once the other part of the contract is planned. Let's see. Oh, another update about our crew. Yesterday we went through a confined entry training. I was able to coordinate that with City of Bloomington Utilities. I've just had a hard time finding other local entities to help us with a training like that. So it's great to have the crew trained for confined entry, and I'm going to be working on purchasing the equipment needed for confined entry. It's in our budget this year, so you'll be seeing that soon, purchasing air monitor and other equipment for that. I also want to talk about equipment. Speaking of equipment, our Gradall has been down since October 5th of last year. It has definitely hindered, our crew. It definitely are not able to work as efficiently, as quickly without our Gradall. And I just want to make you aware that we still don't have it up and running. They purchased a specific attachment for our mini excavator at the end of last year that has been helping with some of our ditching and drainage projects, but it's nowhere near what we could be doing if we had our Gradall the past 6 months. Highway Department has thankfully lent us one of their Gradalls, but of course those all need maintenance as well, so it's not and they need to use their equipment as needed. So it's hasn't been a great situation. The crew has been, doing a great job doing what they can with what they have, but it's been really frustrating to not have that equipment. We were promised it, February or so, and we still don't have the correct part for it. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And Lisa, if you have anything you want to add about the Gradall or equipment.
No, the only thing I was talking to the crews, and it's something that I think we really need to look at. It's a huge expense. We use it quite often, but it seems like there's really no competition for this piece of equipment. It's one company, so our hands are a little bit tied. And I just hate seeing us spend this kind of money for something that is broke down more than it's not.
How old is this piece of equipment?
We bought it in 2017, I believe.
Whoa, and it's breaking down this
Wow.
much?
Yeah.
Is that what you see with other pieces of equipment?
So I think we have issues with the county highway one also. One of our older ones that we have, it's older, but it seems to work a lot better than the way the newer ones are built. And I think it's a change of the times. I mean, I really do. I'm not sure anything's built the way it used to be built. So it's just, I don't know what, we've talked about different avenues that you can take outside of a grade-all. What's really good about the grade-all is, you know, when you have the trees down and everything, you can drive this piece of equipment 40 miles an hour to get to where it needs to be. If you get into it, the only really other option is a piece of equipment that you have an apparatus that you put onto it. You have to haul that equipment everywhere. You know, then you have expenses of trailers and such. And we do have trailers here, but it's just something that I think we really need to, as a group, look at what our options are when this equipment needs replaced. And again, it's like I said, seems to me that it's broke down more than it's not. And it's expensive. It's expensive to get it fixed. But it's very limited on the companies that make this equipment.
We did get a quote last year for a new one. It was about $500,000, and they only offered us $50,000 for a trade-in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll have some discussions on this. I just wanted to make you aware that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make one comment. Prior to some of the restructuring with the highway and the way that impact the stormwater, I just want to commend Ms. Ridge on her leadership, because we didn't really have options. And, you know, at certain times, and kind of now kind of the way everything's structured, and with Ms. Ridge as the highway director, she really has the flexibility to, you know, provide additional assistance to the stormwater with complete autonomy. And I just really appreciate her leadership and dedication to find that balance between our highway and stormwater department. So thank you.
Thanks, Tron. It takes, all of us have really come together, all the crews. They meet every morning to see who needs help, who needs what equipment. It's worked out great, I think, for highway and stormwater. So it was just as much of a benefit to have them and working together to prep all these roads that we do for paving. We meet continuously. We use that grade-all to get these roads ready and ditching and everything. And we couldn't do it without the help of the stormwater, and on the vice versa, you know, we can lend more guys to a smaller crew with stormwater. So it works both ways, and couldn't do it without Kelsey's help and everybody. We have a great group out here, and the showers building.
All right.
Is that-
I have one more update. So sorry. We will be passing our new stormwater management ordinance soon. We have a deadline of beginning of July of this year. That's a state deadline for our new stormwater ordinance that complies with our new state regulations. It's been to the drainage board several times. We've had internal meetings as well, and still ongoing internal meetings trying to sort out some of the intricacies between our planning ordinance and our stormwater ordinance. I have a date set with Dave for June 5th adoption. So you can expect to see me in the next couple of months going over the final version of this ordinance. And so I'm anticipating our May Stormwater Board meeting. I'd like to discuss that with you. Just wanted to give you a heads up. And that is it. Any questions?
I just want to compliment you and Bluestone for getting the tree removal done before April 1st. I know that if it had not been done by that time frame, it would have held things up.
I also wanted to extend another compliment or thank you for the log jam. I know that's been something very difficult to tackle, and it's great that you found some maybe out-of-the-box solution so it was just real great. I don't know how many different agencies we had to kind of work through to achieve this, but Kelsey was notified. She mobilized, brought in other folks to figure out different types of solutions, and procuring $25,000 to help remedy the situation is amazing. So thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Then we'll move on to Ms. Penna.
Okay. Erica Penna, Stormwater Inspector, will do a presentation on her construction stormwater updates.
Let's see what happens if I put it in. Okay, good. So it's been a while since I've spoken with you all, so hello again. I'm going to give you some updates on 2023 of our construction stormwater program. So there are permitted construction sites throughout the county. You can see from the map that they are mostly concentrated on the west side and south of the Bloomington area. As of the date that I created this map, which was April 5th, we had 39 active sites and 44 on hold sites that hadn't started yet, or inactive sites which had started and are kind of at a pause or towards the end and haven't fully closed out their permit yet. And in 2023, I closed 25 construction stormwater general permits in Monroe County. So that's a good number. I anticipate with the spring coming, we'll start that flurry of closing out permits as they get their final vegetation in place for 2024. In 2023, I completed 155 official inspections for our active construction sites. Being that I was out for a few months, I think that's a pretty good number. I anticipate 2024 being about the same or hopefully more. A lot of the common issues that I saw were tracking, which we always try to get them to fix their off-site tracking. So that's when they're leaving their site, all their equipment or the personal vehicles of people working on site carry mud. That sediment from other construction activities moves off-site, which we don't like to see on our roadways or on adjacent properties. So really on top of them with preventing that, maintaining their perimeter controls, whether that is silt fencing, so it's water can flow through it and it holds the sediment back, or sometimes there'll be like a coconut fiber roll or some kind of a straw wattle filter roll that does the same thing. And then also working on them with getting their temporary and permanent stabilization measures in place in a timely manner. So they need to have temporary stabilization initiated if there's going to be 7 days of inactivity, and sometimes that's unanticipated. They don't anticipate not being active, but they still need to have some temporary measures in place. So the goal for 2024 is to continue to inspect all high priority active sites on a quarterly basis. I do tend to hit all of the sites on a quarterly basis, not just the high priority ones. So that's good. Any questions about the permitted sites?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm wondering how you're planning for the changes that will occur, and I know it'll be in conjunction with planning, but for House Enrolled Act 1108, where they increased the buildable slopes, I wonder how that's going to impact your inspections and whether or not you think the inspections will need to be done more often than every 3 months, and what that might look like in terms of cost for the county.
Yes, that will certainly move sites to a higher priority ranking. And depending on exactly where they are, what the project is, I'm assuming most of them will be residential. We'll work with planning to make sure that we're coordinating regular inspections and building department as well, since they're out on sites much more frequently than we are. But I do anticipate it will increase my inspection load. Just having to be out to these higher priority slopes more frequently. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any further questions, comments?
So I do have another slide. We are doing our, continuing our inventory of best management practices in the county. So these are things like detention basins, retention basins, rain gardens, swales, vegetated swales, anything that is required as drainage mitigation on a site. So currently we have 340 within our inventory. Most of them are detention ponds or basins, so they only temporarily will hold water and then slowly release it from the site into an existing creek or ditch. IDEM's goal in our first 5 years of the new permit cycle was to hit 250 of them. So we've met that goal, and we just keep adding them as we see them. The next phase of this inventory process is continue adding to it, and then start doing some better data analysis to see what we have out there in the county, what kind of outreach we're going to need to perform to these BMPs. 219 are in good condition, they're performing well. 94 are in fair condition, they might need some minor maintenance or repair, or start leaning towards heavier maintenance needs. And then 27 are in poor condition, so those are higher priority ones to start reaching out to those properties that manage them and help get them into a better space. And as you can see from the map, a lot of them are concentrated on the west side and south of the Bloomington area. So here's a few picture examples. On the left, you see a detention basin. Way off in the far end is the outlet control structure. And then down through the center are plugs that are somewhat newly installed, so they're still trying to establish. But those plugs will help filter that stormwater that's collected and uptake it and be a nice visual feature for that apartment complex. There is an under drain system as well. You can see the standpipe there. In the middle, there's a retention basin, so that holds water more permanently, but similar concept, the water level will rise and outflow through that box structure you see towards the bottom middle of the picture. And then on the right-hand side is a vegetated swale. Right now it's mostly grass. It's just a grass swale. So that helps convey the stormwater around the site and eventually drains into the basin. Some of the common issues that we're seeing, of course, are overgrowth, invasive species. They may have sediment or debris buildup around the outlet control structures. And then there's erosion, particularly at any inflow points and at an outflow point. So, questions about that?
Go ahead.
Just, did you say what BMP stood for?
Best management practice.
Right,
Yes.
and that's typically for private property owners in their infrastructure. And does that also kind of go with HOAs too?
Yes.
So
So a lot of these are within subdivisions.
Right.
But then they're also on private businesses.
Right.
As well.
So like that open space could, fall under the responsibility of a HOA, and there might be a BMP within that open space. I don't know how great Adam is at forecasting what I'm going to say next, but I'm sure he knows now. At our SWEET, Stormwater Environmental Education team, I think I said that right, meetings, we have a good group there. We also kind of have the city involved as well, and also the university, and we're all looking at different ways to maybe tackle the same issue, and one of those are HOAs. And what I was speaking out loud about was maybe setting up an outreach program for HOAs like we do with the developers, and start trying to educate them, and also have maybe a booth on the side that then they can come look at these BMPs that are more to that one particular lot within a subdivision that is under an HOA. A lot of these conversations are being brought up at a plan commission level, and we don't really have any capacity or any way to intervene in that except for our educational outreach. And I think if we start targeting HOAs throughout the community, that could really help with that educational effort of how they should manage this private infrastructure. And I'm not sure if that would come in a form of dollars from the stormwater, or maybe just allowing some hours dedicated to something like that. I know from a planning standpoint, they don't really have kind of a ratepayer fee to tap into for some of this educational outreach, but it's a big problem. And I haven't seen anything focused on that problem outside of what issues we deal with and how we don't want those issues to keep reoccurring. And I think we need to target the HOAs for educational outreach.
Absolutely. They are one of our target groups that we are planning to reach out to. Right now, it's kind of piecemeal. As we get complaints, we go meet with them and we work with HOAs on a as they come to us basis. But I think that is one of our long-term goals, is to establish more of a program to provide education and outreach, and even potentially some funding at some point if that can be worked out.
And don't let me let the city get off the hook. They need to be involved as much as we are, and also the town of Ellettsville. It needs to be a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
My question actually kind of piggybacks on what Tron just said. I wondered how many of the detention ponds that you rated as poor were under the purview of an HOA?
I don't know offhand, but I know that there are several. So we're working, some of them are rated poor and they've already been complained about by some of those residents. So we're working with them to help already get that process moving to get it better. So yeah, I don't know that number offhand, sorry.
But there are some at least, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? All right, then.
Well, I have one more, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And then one of the highlights of 2023 is our contractors workshop. This year we did have Martha present. And then at the bottom, she's in the top right picture, and the bottom left is Jason Crowley, the hydrogeologist that Kelsey has mentioned. So they both presented on really timely topics for the county. We had 36 participants, a range of design engineers, contractors, builders, and other local government members. We focused on just a stormwater pollution prevention plan reminders. I gave them a BMP inventory update as well. Urban stormwater BMP maintenance from Natalie with Ecologic, urbanization of soils from Martha, and then Jason did the Karst and Monroe County presentation. Moving forward in 2024, we'd like to have an interactive opportunity such as a site visit, and I'd like to open it up to a little bit of a broader audience as well. Thinking about doing a special topic series that's open to all, and focusing on some presentations about case studies, particularly interesting solutions that we have found to issues in Monroe County. So that's moving forward. Now I'm done.
And are there any further questions? I should have waited for the thank you slide. All right, if there aren't, we have a report from Adam Rickert, our MS4 assistant.
Okay, thank you. I would like to do a review. We completed the annual report recently, and that was submitted to IDEM. So what the form this year is a lot scaled down in terms of previous years, what the information that was necessary to submit, but I wanted to give you little bit more in depth beyond that. So I chose to start with minimum control measure 6, which is required by our permit for municipal operations, pollution prevention, and good housekeeping. So this area to the your left for the requests, want to really emphasize the importance of our stormwater crew. These are requests that we received, and we make a point to respond to those as quickly as possible, and if at all possible, close those out as quickly as possible too. That's not always the case. Some of these drainage improvements are, longer term, so that's why we have that 88% completion rate for 2023. And with the brine system became operational last year, that has worked out well. We have had a training that wasn't during 2023, but I wanted to make sure that for our brine system, we didn't have any influence to our ponds at the highway garage, that we monitored those. So happily, there wasn't any influence. We had one minor salinity reading, and we looked at it, our process, and we evaluated how we can do that differently, so that when we clean out the brine system, we want to be careful to ensure that there's not any influence to the ponds. And then with the street sweeping debris, that's reflected in the column. When we do street sweeping, we have all this, the routes and cartograph, which help us keep track of, make sure that we're doing this efficiently and we're covering the county. So we had 800 tons of street sweeping debris taken to the Sycamore landfill in Terre Haute. And then for the annual training that we do for the highway crew, stormwater crew, and the Cars Farm Park maintenance employees, last year I emphasized the spill prevention and spill response, that in any given day, it's always possible that you're gonna have a spill. It might be a minor spill. So I want the staff to be prepared for that, and to respond to that appropriately, and ideally not have the spill in the first place, that we're preventing that. But as we move forward, the training may change a little bit, where for this year, I want to emphasize for the crew to be comfortable reporting if they see something that needs improvement, whether for drainage, that's brought to the attention of the supervisor, and that we can ultimately track that. That there are eyes and ears, and they see firsthand what improvements need to be done. So I want to try to emphasize that moving forward. But once again, the stormwater crew is a really important part of MCM 6. Okay, so since we're going backwards, Erica largely just spoke on MCM 5 and 4, the post-construction, and MCM 4 construction site stormwater runoff control. And Tron, your comment about BMPs, in this annual reporting form, they talk about structural controls. So, the language is a little bit interchangeable, but Monroe County does have BMPs, structural measures that we have to inspect and maintain. So that's part of our permit obligations. But we're doing well with inspecting privately owned and Monroe County BMPs. So I'll move on to 3. And for MCM 3, the illicit discharge detection and elimination, we had 11 illicit discharges that were reported to us. And it's really important that we receive notification because when we start, that's how we get information, and it's necessary to, coordinate with other entities like the health department. Of those 4, and when it says records, that basically means cases. That's just the terminology in OpenGov. But for those 4 health department records or cases, 2 of those for septic systems, 2 of those for sanitary sewer situations. So it's important that, we coordinate whether we're sampling for E. coli, and how do we notify the public that there's this ongoing situation so that, if it's a retention pond that's impacted, how do we make sure that the public is aware that, for the time being, it's not safe to fish from that pond, even though they're not really made for, fishing, but that's what happens. But yeah, we have to coordinate with City of Bloomington Utilities, and then for IDEM, we had one that was a private wastewater treatment plant that is outside the purview of what we can do, since they permit that wastewater treatment plant. It has some foam in the creek, so they came out, and when I went back there, the amount of foam was much less present at their discharge location. So, and then we also screen outfalls for illicit discharges, so that if we see any what we call dry weather flows, we trace that back to the source. But that didn't occur in 2023. So, I mean, like I said, it's really important that we have this coordination so that we get this information, because it's more likely that we're going to get information from the public than just by screening for outfalls. But, okay, and then this is my last slide. Public participation and involvement and public education and outreach. This is really important that ideally you want the public to understand what stormwater means. That I think there's a lot of misinterpretation, and why is stormwater important, and how do we make sure that whether it's somebody that's in preschool or an older adult, that that we have some fundamentals that we're being consistent with the way we teach, and that we are present at these events. So I'm happy to report the webinar that was done last year is now on our website. So it was kind of lost for a little bit, but yeah, we want to try to do that more often, so that we have different types of events that are catered towards all ages. And I'll just put a plug in for tomorrow. We're doing a cleanup of a tributary of Jackson Creek in town of Ellettsville. It may be postponed due to rain and just the flow in the creek, but hopefully we get a good turnout for that. But that's kind of it. Any questions?
Any questions?
Where are you meeting for the Jackson Creek cleanup?
It's actually, there's a barbecue place called Fat Daddy's, PHAT. That's where we're meeting at, and it's going to be from 4 to 6. And we're coordinating with Dylan, the new MS4 coordinator with Town of Ellettsville, and that's going well. Try to identify areas that I think a lot of people don't even realize that tributary is there, but it is near a lot of businesses and a lot of road traffic. So the potential for it to be impacted by just development and normal day-to-day happenings is pretty high. So, but that, And I believe there's a flyer that was included with the email.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. And do any of the board members have anything to add?
Just kind of with my open thought earlier, you know, as you can tell, there's a huge workload demand on our stormwater team already. So, you know, maybe that could be something for one of our nonprofits out there to help facilitate a HOA focus group workshop. Just putting that out there. I did identify one of the groups by name, and I won't do that on cats, but they're in this room, so.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, then we are adjourned, and our next meeting will be on Wednesday, May 8th, 2024 at 3 p.m.